Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Name the dog, Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in pints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my man that loves not a regular-sized Halloween, not a short one, but a long one. How are you today, Frank?
This is the longest Halloween I've had in a long time, so I'm doing great.
Good. How do you celebrate a long Halloween?
Like everyone else does, by killing one person every holiday for a year.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave.
Okay. Okay, but it's Labor Day. You can't leave.
What do you give me? Like, what is the symbol of Labor Day? A hamburger?
The famous Labor Day cake, of course.
Labor Day cake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is you burn your work clothes? Like, I don't know what the symbol of Labor Day actually is.
Sure.
A lemonade.
Sure. Here, how about I give you this beer?
Beer's good.
Beer?
I'll do a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you actually read me the label? What am I drinking?
Well, this is an Oskar Blues Can-O-Bliss IPA. They're tropical IPA.
That's great. That's what you're drinking, though. That's what I was drinking, which is a Stella of some kind.
You were drinking a Solstice.
It's in a glass, so I don't.
It's in a chalice.
Yeah, it's in the Stella chalice.
It's in a Stella chalice. Please have some respect for the chalice. It is a Stella Artois Solstice lager in the requisite chalice. Yes,
it's delicious.
It's quite good, right?
And it's not it's a little it's a little fuller and a little smoother,
yes,
but also a little bit more carbonated than a regular Stella. It's cool, but I gotta say it's really gold,
very golden in color.
It's so golden in color, and it's like entrancing almost.
Yes.
It's like really pretty.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of entrancing, I apologize to anyone listening who can hear my cat screaming up a storm outside the door.
He really wants to come in.
He really wants to come. I'm gonna let him in because.
Oh, okay. Yeah, by all means. Welcome, Brewsterfer. Welcome.
Yes. So you can all feel the feline presence of my cat Bruce, who, yes, is named after Bruce Wayne, which is appropriate given today's topic.
It is. Hold on. You tell me about today's topic as I pick up Brewster.
You should pick up. Yes, Bruce loves it when Tim picks him up. We were talking about the new DC animated version of Batman: The Long Halloween, the classic series by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. First published. Oh gosh, I don't know when, the early mid 2000s, but this.
Oh gosh, no, the 90s.
Was it the 90s?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This has been
early 2000s was Hush.
Yes, that was Hush.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's what I was thinking of, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Long Halloween's been around for quite some time now. No, so get this. So we're in our 30s. So Long Halloween has been around as long. So when we were kids and our parents were like, "Oh, well, in the 60s."
Mm-hmm.
Now
that's how long.
That's the 90s. That's how long it's been around now.
I hate that.
Yeah.
But I've always loved this book. In fact, you gave me this copy.
I did.
That I'm holding in my hands.
I mean, I did.
In fact, there's a gift note in it.
To start your education of Batman, happy birthday. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
And I guess I used it as a bookmark, and it's still in the book.
That's so fun.
So, I discovered that today as I was leafing through it. But, you gave this to me probably like 10 years ago or so. But I've loved this book ever since the first time I read it. Just absolutely, devoured it. And have loved it. So when they announced that they were coming out with an animated version of it, I was excited because typically they treat these stories well. I've I feel like they have a good batting average with these. So I generally enjoy them. So what did you think?
The book or the movie?
The movie.
Oh, okay, great.
So it's in 2 parts.
Yep. They did. So I think they were movies that they want to be like, okay, we're going to be we want to be really faithful. They try really hard to do that. Some they go their version of Hush, they were like, we're not going to be so faithful. We're going to take the broad strokes and do the mystery. And then you have Batman Year One or The Dark Knight Returns, especially, which was also in 2 parts.
Also 2-parter.
And they were like, here it is.
Yeah.
You wanted it. Here it is. And that's what they did with The Long Halloween.
Pretty much.
And I thought it was really, really strong. I think part 2 is stronger than part 1.
I agree.
Part 1, I was like, that was good. I mean, it was the story that I knew, which is good.
Yes.
But I didn't think that I thought it was slow. And I don't know if that's because I know the story so well, so I know where it's going, or it's because when animation is just people talking, there's not a lot happening for your eye to pick up the way that it picks up human people or picks up live action. There's something your eye catches more things, but it's really just a stagnant image that you're looking at.
Yeah.
And maybe the camera's panning, maybe someone's mouth is moving, but it's not as
visually engaging.
It's not as visually engaging. And so whereas I thought the plot was good, it was all good, I was like, yeah, all right, that's fine. You weren't doing a lot for me, but
sure.
There was enough movement, I think, in the second one. And I'm I think people have been listening to this long enough to know I am not you got to have explosions kind of person.
No.
By any stretch. Our favorite superhero things are just when people talk to one another.
Right. Totally.
And that's what a lot of Long Halloween is. And it's good. But sometimes that's when the movement isn't there in animation, it's sometimes the talking can't.
Yeah. For animation, you kind of need to have some movement.
Yeah, this new animation style is that they pumped out so far with Superman Man of Tomorrow and the JSA movie. It's different. It's not. It's a little. I don't want to say cheaper, but it's because there's not as many cells to.
Yes.
It's not moving at 24. It might be moving at 24 frames a second, but it's still sometimes
it is a bit more so. It is more like anime style in the sense of there is a I guess I'm about to describe all animation. There's a plate in the background, and then there's the overlay of the characters. But there is they're more sparing in the movement when they don't need to be, right? When
Correct.
It's not an action scene or something.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So that aside, I thought it was really one of their stronger outings in quite some time.
Yeah.
They really put their hearts into this movie, and you can tell. And I thought that they did the mystery justice, because part of the fun of The Long Halloween, the book, is that it's actually ambiguous.
Yes,
who was the actual killer? Was it Alberto Falcone? Was it one of the Dents? Was it this? Was it this? And the movie, I guess one of the writers, Tim Sheridan, has gotten a lot of tweets, and he's like, "Oh, people have been like, oh, you interpreted the book correctly," and he was like, "That's so interesting because there's a few different ways to read the end of the book.
There are multiple interpretations.
Yeah, and that's the fun of it is that you at the end you still really don't know who Holiday was. It's because there was all of them.
Right,
somebody started it, and then it was a copycat thing, and more people took over. Yeah, but I thought it was well done. What did you think?
I agree. I thought it was very well done. And I agree that part 1 wasn't as interesting as part 2. Although when I got to the end of part 1, and I watched them back to back in one day.
Okay.
And whereas you watched them as they were released, right?
Yeah,
so
I watched them day of release each one. Yeah.
I waited and I watched them back to back, one long
Halloween
3-hour movie. So I felt I felt that part 1 was dragged a little bit, but I'll tell you what, at the end of part 1, they did a really good job of teeing up part 2 to where I was sort of oh, I see what they knew where they needed to land part 1.
Yep.
And it was a very strong ending of part 1. It was a very strong ending that made you that month or so in between the 2 releases must have been really hard to wait for. I mean,
yep.
Even though you knew.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I didn't know the ending, it probably would have been harder to wait for. But the movie tees up what would be or the story does, a fairly obvious suspect.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh no, shoot. That's not right.
Yeah,
but that's the fun of the story. It's like, well, it probably was, but then it wasn't.
But then it wasn't. But then it was.
But then it was.
Right.
Yeah, then that's real good. But what I like about Long Halloween is that it's not just like a good mystery, which again, we've spoken about this on the podcast a few times before. Like comic books are their own genre, but also subgenre of something is what makes a good comic book or comic book movie. And so like, here's your noir murder mystery along with your Batman mythos.
Yes.
And part of the Long Halloween mythos is the replacement of organized crime with super crime. And you're seeing that transition play out and how it's welcome in out of desperation and how poorly that goes, because whenever you do anything out of desperation, it generally goes poorly.
Yeah. Unintended consequences happen.
Yep,
right?
that's right.
If you're so intent on getting rid of the organized crime, you're not even realizing that you're ushering in an era of supervillains. And it is that interesting. And it's the origin story of Two-Face at the same time. It's an origin story for Two-Face.
Correct.
At the same time. And it
really is the origin story, and I like, because it takes the, was a DA attacked during the trial, like, there's the Dark Knight version, and this is the accepted story. Long Halloween is and forever canon.
Yeah.
Even when the New 52 rolled around 10 years ago. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Even when the New 52 rolled around 10 years ago, Long Halloween was one of the stories where like, Long Halloween happened.
That stands.
Because it's that strong of a story.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of ways, it's a simple story.
Yeah.
And it's just a really strong character piece. Let's talk about the cast.
Yes, let's.
So we'll start with Jensen Ackles. There's always a new Batman rolling around in town. Supernatural and Smallville fame.
Yes.
Correct. Yes. I was weary when I heard he was cast. I thought he did a stellar job.
He was excellent.
He's a huge Batman fan on his own.
Yes, he is.
And when they asked him to be Batman, he was like, I don't even care what it is.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Like, but do you want to hit? I'll do it.
Yeah.
So he knows the character. He sounds like a young version of the character, which I like. He's not, I've been doing this for 25 years.
Sure.
Like grizzled man without a name, Clint Eastwood, style Batman. It's like, I've still got a bit of optimism in me.
Yeah.
Yep. Strong.
Very strong.
Bruce Wayne and Batman. I like that we're moving a little out. I thought he was very intentionally not like, I'm Batman.
Yeah. I actually liked that.
Yeah, where I'm like, oh, you have a regular human voice.
Yeah.
I really like that because the mask does a lot of the work for you.
Correct. Yeah, correct. And I mean, think about when Kevin Conroy first took the role, like that was kind of more what he was doing, more of like, okay, you're the human voice. It's a deeper voice.
Yeah, it was a human voice.
But it was a human voice. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what they've all done. I mean, well, Adam West doesn't count. He used the same exact voice.
Yeah.
But, but that's a different style, different genre. But Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, like they just kind of just slightly tweaked what their regular voice sounds like.
Right.
George Clooney uses regular voice.
Uses regular voice.
It's until Christian Bale came along that we got this like, I have like glass in my throat thing.
Yeah. The Batman voice.
Yeah. And I just like, I just do not care for that at all. But I'm glad that we're moving past it. And I mean, like other pieces of animation have moved past it previously.
Yes.
Like this is not the first, but I'm glad that even the next iteration, we're not sticking to that.
Yeah. Right.
And I just thought he did a stellar job. Like I was really, really impressed with his performance.
I totally agree. I thought he was fantastic. I thought he was fantastic. Really this whole cast was stacked. Like they always do great casting for these films, but I thought this one was particularly well cast.
Yeah, Josh Duhamel as Two-Face, as Harvey Dent, I also thought was strong. Actually, his voice, he went gravel for Two-Face.
He did.
And I really appreciated that, because he was a different person.
Right.
And that was strong too. I mean, these guys look like the people they're playing.
Yes.
Which is also wild.
Yes, that's true.
Like you could just live action the crap out of this cast. And like rest in peace, Naya Rivera. Just so tragic to listen.
I know.
Every time she spoke, I was like,
I know.
So it's so sad.
I know. And then at the end of part 1, it says like in loving memory, Naya Rivera, and I was just like, oh, that's right. You know, like
Yep.
Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was again another perfectly cast.
Yeah.
Another perfectly cast character.
yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I actually thought was it not within the main cast who was really strong was Layla I gotta look at it. Layla Berzins played Sophia Falcone.
Oh yeah.
I thought she was like
great.
in the book. I'm like, yeah, Sophia Falcone, she's like at this angry and all, but in this movie I was like, oh my god, like I really feel for this woman. Like good performance.
I don't know if it was the dialogue they gave her, if it was more concise and to the point, but like I felt like I got her character way more.
Yep.
And it probably was more concise and more to sort of summarize down of like what the essence of her character is.
Yep.
Versus what's in the book, but I just felt like I got her character for the first time and like cared about her character really for the first time.
Yeah. Well, what I really there's a lot of time focused on the Falcones. It's the Falcones or the Falcones.
Depends who you ask, actually.
Yeah.
I noticed different characters pronouncing it.
I don't even remember how they say it in this version.
It was both.
They
depends on the actor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the Falcones, Maltesians. What I really liked about this film is that they spent a lot of time with that family.
Yes.
And they didn't feel like stuff was happening around them. Like they were really centralized. And so instead of this, like, it's a father-son movie, you know, like it's like you already have Alberto who doesn't really belong as part of the family, as part of the crime family. But then like you have Sophia who like absolutely does, but her father doesn't give her the time of day. So then you have this tragic triangle thing going on, and Alberto dies, and Sophia's like more primed to be there, you know, and then like Happy Father's Day, Papa, and like that stuff was, I thought, some of the best in the movie.
That was great stuff. That was really, really great stuff. Yeah, that little triad between the three of them was really interesting. Where it was
Bosch did a great job too.
There you go. Yes, that's right. That's right. Yes, he was great. Just fantastic. Like the dynamics between the characters, the casting, and the way that the pacing of the story, honestly, I thought served to make it very entertaining, because like it is I don't know. What this was probably a 12-issue maxi series.
It's the year. So
it is the full year. So like to boil that down to 3 hours.
That was actually just the regular Batman book, I think. Like that was just.
Was it just in the Batman title?
When you just bought Batman, I think that's what you got. I'm not positive about that. Could be wrong.
It's a lot to put in. It's a lot to put in 3 hours. So the fact that they did it as well as they did is honestly very, very impressive.
Yeah, I think they skipped over the right stuff too. Like, you know, because once the holiday killings really get rolling, like there are bits where like, okay, yeah, it's Valentine's Day. Okay, here's the next killing, and you know, but because they're really focused on the dynamics of the characters. You know, how is the Roman responding to these things? What is Bruce doing about these things? How is Billy Burke's Commissioner Gordon or Captain Gordon was so good in this movie. He added the three of them. I actually thought he might be the strongest of the out of the Batman, Harvey Dent, and Gordon triangle. I was like, his performance was like, that's Gordon to a T.
But
I thought that, see, nuance in animation is so hard because like you're really relying on the animation team to do the other work that your voice can't do.
Right.
And I thought they really did Gordon justice.
Agreed.
And but the movie's really focused on this, like what is their relationship, the three of them.
Yes. And
it's actually something that The Dark Knight picked up on, right? You know, because a lot of The Dark Knight is based on the Long Halloween, the Harvey Dent stuff, and you know, like we're trying to get the mob, blah blah blah. Here's the, you know, but I think the original recipe, Long Halloween, this is what it's about. What does justice look like from three different angles?
Yeah.
You know, by the book, like off the book, but on the book, and completely off the book.
Yes.
Yeah. And, you know, and like where like and what's fair and how does it work and who gets left in the dust and like yeah. So like when you wrap around to the end and you have so now it's Two-Face and Gordon and Batman and like it's great because now Two-Face is like it's like two sides of the law and Batman and now you're like against the law, ambiguous to the law and the law and it's good. It's really thematically it's really good writing.
It really, really, truly is, and to have the two different like trios, of the Falcons and of Batman, Gordon, and Dent.
Yes, exactly.
Right? You have the two of them try and take each other down.
And then you have Chaos Agents just thrown in there.
Yes.
Like you got your Catwoman Chaos Agent, you got the Joker and Poison Ivy and Solomon Grundy and I just think that they all serve their really strong focus. Troy Baker is back as the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
He's been the Joker a couple times. I think his first outing was for Arkham Origins, the video game, and he does his best Mark Hamill.
I totally agree.
Yep, which is fine. Yeah. Like he doesn't really make it his own. He's like, but also that take on the Joker is so strong. It's really hard to listen to anything else.
It's so beloved at this point. Mark Hamill has been the voice of the Joker to an entire generation. So like, why not? Why
that's
not?
Right.
The same way that maybe not for as long, but like the Christian Bale Batman voice thing was sort of a trend for a little bit.
Yeah,
it makes sense. Let's talk about the actual like design, like the Art Deco design throughout the film.
I think it was really strong in this film because because it's all in the same style. It was said earlier, Man of Tomorrow and the Justice Society, and I thought it worked okay for Man of Tomorrow. I thought it was great for Justice Society, but I think the Art Deco plus the bold lines is a great combination for Batman.
So good. The bold lines, yeah. Like there were like every character really had like these very like bold, strong outlines.
Yep.
Looked beautiful. It wasn't quite Tim Sale's like art style.
No, not even close, really, at all. But
then again, you couldn't really animate that and have it look
not really
realistic.
No, I think it's a cartoony style, so I think that you probably could animate it, but at the same time, it's not designed to flow. It's designed to be stagnant.
Yes,
and those things don't always go well together.
Because his is more of like an impressionistic style. Almost,
correct.
Yes.
Which can work for animation.
It can, but it's a harder sell.
It's also probably hard to sit with for long periods of time.
True.
And I think that people mistakenly think that just because it's on a page means it can also be on a screen.
Yeah.
It doesn't really work that way. So they just completely, instead of trying to do, like what they did for Dark Knight Returns or our New Frontier, where they try to copy the art style.
Yeah.
But the ones that they do try to copy lend themselves to animation more. Darwin Cooks, that's an animation style. The man has a background. The man had, rest in peace, had a background in animation.
That's right.
And so that works.
Yes.
That's okay. Tim Sale
doesn't really work the same way.
No.
So I'm glad they didn't try and fail at like copying his style. They took it in a different direction and it worked. It was a beautiful art style that they did use. And I was just really loving they really had fun with the Gotham as a film noir Art Deco.
It looks great.
Beautiful.
The people making the stuff now grew up with the Bruce Timm show.
Yes.
And the Batman animated series, which was a complete Art Deco style, and so we're now cycling back to the very thing that people loved, and so okay, we're back.
It did have a bit of a Bruce Timm, not a total Bruce Timm look to it,
no,
but some subtle influences here.
Definitely
and there.
some subtle influences.
There were some broad shoulders here and there. You know what I mean? Like
that's right. Yeah, not even in the figures. I'm thinking more in the backgrounds.
Yeah.
But that's great.
Yeah.
That's okay because that really works for Batman.
Totally.
But it's a noir film, so there's lots of low key lighting and shadows across people's faces and bars for blinds and all like that's great. Lean into that stuff. And I think when the action happened, it picks up its pace.
Yes.
The animation works for how fast it moves, and it's never because sometimes really detailed animation, because everything is so detailed, you're not allowed to your budget dictates how much you can animate.
Sure.
And so when there's a little less detail, things move a little bit more a little bit more of fluid like.
Yes.
So I thought it was all strong.
Yes.
Again, one of their stronger outings.
Absolutely one of their stronger outings. I had forgotten how many Batman villains we get to see in this story. Like it's pretty much the whole Rogues Gallery, like a huge chunk of the Rogues Gallery. It's
pretty much all the classics.
Yeah.
Yeah, except for they even cut some because like the Riddler is in this one, not in this one. He's
not in the movie, but he's in the book.
He's in the book. Yeah, okay, but so some are even completely left in the dust.
Yeah, right.
And there's just no time.
There just simply wasn't. Yeah, there just wasn't.
Yeah, even the Penguin shows up, but doesn't do.
No,
he was.
It was kind of weird that he was even there.
Yeah,
yeah. I guess you're like, where'd you come from?
Yeah.
But I love that how much because I'd forgot as I was going through. I was like, oh, Poison Ivy's in this too. Like, and oh man, like I just forgot how much. And that's why I loved this story to begin with, is because of how it weaves in all these different things from throughout the character's mythos.
Yep.
In this, like, I don't know, it's like they weave a new fabric out of the same threads.
Yeah.
Just fantastic. This story is a fantastic Batman story. It's for me, it's sort of like the All-Star Superman of Batman, and I know there is an All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder, but
it's never finished though. It doesn't count.
It doesn't count. This is to me sort of that same thing where it's like you want one Batman story, like the sort of the perfect Batman story. Read this one.
That's true. It's quintessential.
It is
like it has all the elements that make Batman Batman. Here's the Gothic noir. Here's the mystery. Here's the rogues gallery. Here's the mob. Here's the street crime, but also the super crime. Here's really smart versus, really deadly. Here's a love thing. Here's police work versus vigilantism. It carries all of the major themes.
It's a perfect hodgepodge, a bat hodgepodge.
Mm-hmm. A bat podge.
A bat podge. Yes, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I think it's a very strong story to adapt, and I think that they did it justice.
Yeah.
They did it justice. Obviously, read the book if you haven't, but like watch the film. It's excellent.
Agreed. Speaking of justice, did you stick around for the tag at the end of the credits in the second movie?
No.
Look at you. You didn't stick around. I almost texted you to tell you. So not tons happened, but did you watch Man of Tomorrow or the Justice Society movie?
I did not.
Oh, all right. Well, here we are. So at the Superman Man of Tomorrow has Martian Manhunter in it as well. Okay. Spoilers, whatever.
Yeah. Sure.
The Justice Society movie is the Flash, modern day Flash, going backwards to the Justice Society. Like, oh, we're meeting for the first time, blah, blah, blah. The beginning of the movie, he's teaming up with Superman for the first time to fight Brainiac, I think.
Cool.
So that's fun, right? So that's real fun. And so they're like, oh, hey, we should like hang out more sometimes, like one of those. And at the end of this movie, the doorbell to Wayne Manor rings, the door opens, and the Flash and Green Arrow are standing there.
Oh, nice.
Wanting to talk to Mr. Bruce Wayne.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's cool. So it's like it's seed planting Justice League.
Okay, yeah. Like, what's the next one they're making?
I don't know what the next one they're making in this universe is, because the next movie to come out is Injustice.
Oh, right. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Justin Hartley, Superman. Yeah.
Yeah, Justin Hartley, Superman. Kevin Pollak is the Joker, which I thought was actually a really weird casting choice until I watched the behind the scenes, and he sounds amazing.
That man can do anything.
I love Kevin Pollak.
That man can do anything.
Kevin Pollak for John Adams.
Yes, I saw your tweet about that. That is so
Not
good.
my idea, but great. Like,
so good.
Amazing casting.
Yeah, fantastic. I would so watch that movie.
Yep, me too.
Any final thoughts?
I hope that they also do Dark Victory, which I don't think is as strong as of a story.
I don't remember liking it anywhere near as much.
It's nowhere near as good, but I like it enough that I would like to see some of these cast members return, the style return, the introduction of Robin. That stuff I like, and so I would like to see more of that. And I really want to see where they're going with this universe, with the Justice League and everything.
That feels, just you describing that feels very much like end of Iron Man 1.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's very much like that. Yeah,
Avengers Initiative.
Yeah. The only other thing, did you watch the Blue Beetle short?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was one of their best in a long time.
Nice.
Yeah, I just it reminded me of being a kid, but it also made fun of the exact like Super Friends. The Adventures of Batman, whatever. Like it made fun of that. I love that every so often his colors would be reversed because that's what
that would happen. Yes.
Yeah, stuff like that was just so. It was all the Charlton characters,
right.
And I just thought it was really, really, really fun.
A very fun like nostalgia trip type
it was, but also full of commentary and love, and it was. I found that more intriguing than just like here's this 15-minute adventure of this rando character.
Yeah. It is fun that we kind of get a backstory, right? Like the backstory, like at the end of at the back of a book. Yeah, it is fun. It's very clear how much like love there is for these characters in these animated pieces. Like there is just an abundance of love for the stories, for the characters, for the creators. Like everybody working on this stuff at the high levels grew up with these things, or at least has a very, very deep-seated love for them, and it really comes across in that short and in the main film.
Totally. And I love it. So I guess just to wrap up, where people can find us, ?
Yeah. You could go to any podcast app, which presumably you have done if you're listening to us right now. If you haven't already subscribed or followed, as they're now saying, in Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Overcast, any podcast app. If you haven't already followed us or subscribed, please do that. It doesn't cost you anything and does help send the signal that this show is worth listening to, and other folks will be able to find it more easily and search that way. If you want to do something that does cost a little bit because you like us that much, you can go to patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio and make a donation of $1 or $2 or $3 or however much you feel is appropriate, and help us keep making these shows and pay for all the costs involved in doing that. You can email us at beerwithgeeks@gmail.com, tweet at us at beerwithgeeks. You can find all of our other podcasts and podcasts by many of our friends over at thoughtbubbleaudio.com, the network that we run. And you can leave us ratings and reviews on especially Apple Podcasts, but really any podcast app that has the ability to leave a star rating or a short written review is really, really appreciated. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Very good.
Right on.
Frank, great to talk to you.
Always.
And until next time,
cheers.